All right, Jack Marley, Paris 2024 Olympian. It has a very nice ring to it.
A very nice ring to it, but I can't say that till I step into the ring for the first time and the first bell goes.
Can you take us back to the day you qualified? Because you had a slightly different challenge to everyone else in that you had to get to a final. And I remember your interview with our own Siobhan Madigan afterwards. I don't know if you've ever watched it back, but you were delirious, I think might be the right word for it.
Oh, delirious has many words. I was out of the ring about 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and within that 2 minutes I was shouting, screaming, hugging people, kissing people. I got sick in the corner, and then I come out through the curtains, and then came straight into yourselves, and I was just ecstatic, like. But you could see that I just couldn't hold any emotions.
Yeah. And like when you kind of reflect back, it's obviously a lifelong dream, because I know you're not from a family of boxers per se. You're the first, really, aren't you? And yeah, so this is a journey you've kind of carried yourself, and obviously to get over the line must have been amazing, because it is your thing.
Yeah, it's my thing, but I don't see it as my thing. Like, it's not just for me. Like, I don't. It's for everyone else. Like, everyone else can jump on board, and the community and my family and friends. It's for everyone. Like, it's not just for me. You have to let everyone enjoy it.
And your club is Monkstown, isn't it? And in 2022, it was kind of interesting. You know, there was that situation. You might talk us through it, where you had to train on the street, and this is where your facility got closed down. This is a time you've just been made under 22 champion, European champion. It's a weird situation to be in when you've achieved what you've achieved already at that point, and also you're going for Paris 2024 qualification.
Yeah, like, I was just like, we're the only really boxing club that's under like in someone else's house, if you get me. Everyone else has their own keys and they come in places they want. They could train first thing in the morning on a Sunday or whatever, like. But we were in a community centre, on community centre times and hours, and bank holidays we were closed, and I was just used to training outside and just working around that, like. But I never really got into the political side of it, like when they shut us out, or they were renting the room to someone else, or there was just conflict. I tried to stay out of that, and it obviously paid off when I won my under 22 Europeans. Yeah. And then we had to do a little bit of protesting. I didn't do any political stuff now, but yeah, we got through that tough time, and now we actually have a club getting built at the back. So the brickwork is getting done, and it's in the process. So
as you say, your success, that will actually help things along as well. It puts a bit of a spotlight on Monkstown in terms of the boxing club there, and also the other members as well. I'm sure there's a lot of young lads who are looking up to you, and young girls as well looking up to you in terms of trying to repeat what you've achieved already in terms of getting to an Olympics, and obviously you're looking to achieve a bit more as well once you get there.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that my success is why the club is getting built now, because we've had success for years, but I hope it is giving it that push that it needed just to get over the line. Yeah. And get building underway. But we're there now, and no complaints. And
you're the first heavyweight that's represented Ireland at the Olympics, I think, since 1996. That's obviously a very special thing. It's, I suppose, in the professional ranks, it's the division that gets the most attention. What do you make of the heavyweight scene here in terms of maybe why you feel there was that gap until you've come along?
I don't know. There was good heavyweights like Con Sheehan and Tommy McCarthy, and there were good heavyweights as well. Like, but I don't know. I see myself different to everyone else, and I'm my own unique boxer, and I think that's standard for me.
In terms of your other sporting background as well, because I understand like you were involved with Joey's as well in terms of playing football. Did that have any benefit in terms of your footwork or anything like that?
No, not really, no. I wasn't a great footballer, but like Joey's is literally just over the wall from my house, so about 15 metres into Joey's field. Like, so even when I did stop boxing, I stopped playing football, like when I used to jog every morning, it was around Joey's, and then when I started getting a bit older, I was out onto the road then and doing longer runs. But no, that Joey's is where it started. And yeah, if I was actually good at football, I might not be here sitting here. But no, it's probably my ability of football that has me here now, I'd say.
Yeah. In terms of what you expect from Paris now, this is outside of the fighting, and you know what you have to do in the ring and the training. You know, there's the Olympic Village. Like, you've gone to many competitions around the world, so I'm sure you're used to certain aspects of it. Paris is going to be something very different. Have you prepared yourself for, I suppose, all the attention and all the, I suppose, everything else that comes with it beyond the basics?
Yeah, I know what to expect. Like, and I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm just going to go there. And it's all about business. I'm going to stay in the room. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to stay in bed. It's all about balance. So I'm going to try and take in as much as I can of the Olympic Games without affecting my performance, and just show the best Jack Marley that I can.
And in terms of inspirations from past Olympics, obviously there's a lot within the boxing sphere. Is there anything in particular that stands out to you, even like a first Olympics memory that maybe it's there in the back of your mind and is sort of a bit of a spur as well?
Yeah, I have two. Like, so I have the 2012 London Olympics was kind of a distant one. Like, I remember just watching that. That was the first Olympics. Like, everyone was on it. Like, and that I remember, and everyone was on it and talking about it. And it was in the newspaper. It was on the telly. It was everywhere. And then a recent one is obviously Kelly Harrington having been able to train alongside Kelly every day. Like, it's just it's really a blessing.
The first time I qualified, I got to do it with my brother Aidan, which was very special. So when I qualified the second time around, I done it by myself, but it was very special, and I'm just so grateful to not only go to one Olympics but to go to two Olympic Games. When I first started boxing, if you hadn't said that to me, I would have said there's not a hope that would happen. But like I said, to go to two Olympics and to do a game with my brother is something so special to me.
Yeah, and if you compare that first Olympics, obviously Paris is still to come, but Tokyo, it's a real Olympics, but there's something a bit different about it, because obviously, as we all remember, we're living in the times of COVID-19. There's a lot of things I'm sure that you'll experience this time that you couldn't the last time. How prepared are you for, I suppose, the extra bits?
Do you know what? I'm actually really looking forward to it. I think obviously with Tokyo, because of COVID and stuff like that, we really didn't get the full Olympic experience. But at the time, you would have done anything to get the Olympic Games, so that really didn't matter. But this time around, just seeing the buzz about the place, like how they want to do the open ceremony and the medal ceremony, stuff like that, and obviously being able to have your family and friends and the whole support of the nation. There's so much Irish people coming over, so I'm really looking forward to that. Like I said, in Tokyo, you didn't get the experience that, so it's going to be a whole new experience for me. And I think even just having that experience from Tokyo is amazing, and to be able to use that going into Paris is very good as well. But like I said, it's going to be a whole new experience, a whole new Olympic Games as well. So I'm really excited about that, and I can't just wait to go into Phillies and enjoy the buzz of all that.
Yeah, just how restrictive was it? Obviously we're 3 years on now, and maybe COVID has sort of receded into the background, so a lot of the restrictions, that whether it was for athletes or for anybody else, maybe has been a bit thankfully forgotten. But just how restricted did you feel within, I suppose, the village and just in Tokyo itself?
It was tough enough. Obviously having to get COVID tests every single day and the masks and stuff, and you didn't really get to experience the Japanese culture because you weren't allowed out of the village. The only time we were allowed out of the village was to go to the boxing venue and then back into the village again, so you couldn't really do anything. But obviously at the time, COVID was such a big deal. There was people losing their lives and getting very sick over COVID, so it was very understandable, and I was just so lucky to be able to go to Olympic Games at that time, so I was still very grateful to be able to call myself an Olympian and to go to the Olympic Games.
And from the, for the sporting side, what did you learn about yourself, and I suppose what it takes to go through the rounds of an Olympics? You got to the round of 16, you took on Irma Testa of Italy. That's where the journey ended. Obviously, you're back again for Paris, and hopefully you're going to go much further on. But what did you learn about, I suppose, the pressures that come at Olympics that's different from any other tournament?
I think just like I said, the experience, the Olympic Games, people train their whole lives to go to Olympic Games. I think even the journey to get the Olympic Games is probably harder than anything. And obviously then the Olympic Games is just sort of luck of the draw, how you perform. I felt my performance in the Olympics was very good. It was level going into the last round, and unfortunately for me she got the last round, but I was still very proud of my performance, and being able to still be there and support my brother and the rest of my teammates as well was very special. Seeing my brother win a medal and see Kelly Harrington win her gold medal was something magical for me as well. It just shows you that any one of us can do that, and I think everyone in the team, there's 10 of us, I think everyone is in with a real chance of a medal this time, so I just hope for not only myself but the rest of my teammates that everyone goes in there and performs to the best of their ability, and that's all you can really ask for from any athlete.
Yeah, I suppose the final point, as you said, your brother came home with a bronze, and it was a joyous moment, and it's whenever an Irish athlete does well, I mean, we're all delighted. You've seen it firsthand, as you said, you saw Kelly as well go on and win gold and do what Katie Taylor did. Obviously that's going to be a bit of a spur and a drive for you because you've seen it yourself. You've experienced what it takes to be in the games, and with Paris looming now, you know how to tread it.
Oh, definitely, and like I said, like you're training Michaela and Aidan, and just the training that we're training with them, we're all one team, and it just shows you that any one of us can reach that level, reach them heights, and obviously the Olympics is so special, and to be able to call yourself an Olympic medalist, that's what I want to do, and that's what I'm aiming for. But like I said, if I just have to get my preparation right, my performance right, and what will be, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself in that moment in time. If God wants me to win an Olympic medal, and then that's the way it's going to go. But I'm not going to be adding on any more pressure just because of being the Olympics before. I'm just going to go out and enjoy every moment of it, and if I perform to the best of my ability, I'll be happy.
Aidan Walsh, not only an Olympian but an Olympic medalist from Tokyo 2020. Can you just take us back to the emotion of winning that medal for Ireland?
Yeah, it was incredible. It was something that I had always wanted to achieve since a very early age. I think I'd been around a lot of people who had achieved that success and at the Olympics, and I always wanted to be a part of it and be in that club. So I think that was always a key factor in my career. To do it didn't feel real, to be honest. It still doesn't feel real because you're always looking outside yourself and you're always looking at other people and their achievements, and yeah, it's just hard to take in. But when I done it, like, it was incredible. Like, it was a moment that I'll never forget, and just something that I cherished for a very long time.
Yeah, and the fact that also it's not just you competing in Tokyo at the time, you've your sister Michaela there, so it's a bit of a family affair, and she's there watching you achieve something, you know, that you've dreamed of, and one of the greatest things you can achieve as an Irish athlete. Must have been amazing as well.
Yeah, it was incredible to do it alongside your sister and someone you love dearly and who you've trained with your whole career. It's incredible, and you don't get too many moments like that, to be honest. And I thought at Tokyo that would be the last moment, but here we are at another one's doing it again together. It's incredible.
Because you had essentially retired, hadn't you? How recently was that, and what were the factors that led you to make that decision to step aside, at least temporarily?
Yes, well, no, I had walked away completely from boxing. I was out of the ring for 14 months. Hadn't competed in 14 months, and decided to come back and yeah, just give it a go. And there was a lot to weigh up. Would it come back? Would it be worth it? What would happen? What if, due to mental health, and I'm quite open about that. But yeah, I just said I'll come back and give it a go. And I've a good support network around me. I've good people around me, and I've a good backing. So yeah, it was just a lot of factors that came into play to make the decision to come back. But yeah, done it, and it paid off.
And the process in terms of, I suppose, dealing with it, as you mentioned, the mental health side of it, was it kind of, you know, seeking out a therapist, or what way did you go about it? Was it to talk to family first? How did that process begin?
Yeah, absolutely. We're very lucky here at Sport Ireland and Sport NI, Sport Northern Ireland, that we get the support services, and to reach out to the sports psychologist, Sport Ireland, Paul Gaffney, who's helped me a lot, and Gary Longwell, Sport NI, who's helped me extremely a lot as well. I think that was a very, very important key, and to be able to have that support is crucial, and for me it was something that helped me a lot. And yeah, not even in sport, in life, I think it's very important to have good people around you and good people who you trust and care about, and people you work with. So I've been very fortunate, and I still work with them to this day, and it's something that I very heavily lean on, because it's especially in sport, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty, and to have the skills to deal with that is very important.
And one thing that you did have to deal with a lot was injuries as well. Can you just maybe talk us through the litany of injuries you had since Tokyo?
Yeah, so I before Tokyo, actually I tore a muscle in my hand that I actually competed through Tokyo with. Then I had my ankle injuries, and then I came back, and then that hand, I had to get surgery on the hand again. I came back again and damaged the hand again, and had to get another surgery on it. So it was two surgeries on the one hand, and then alongside the top of the mental health issues, it was just an extremely difficult time. But surgeries, yeah, at the time I was actually enjoying the surgeries, because it was taking me out of sport for a number of months, which was a good thing, and it was giving me time just to sit back and relax. And yeah, but there's like numerous amount of injuries back to back. I think that was my body just telling me I need to step away and get a bit of a break.
Yeah, and then you were selected to go to Italy for the qualifier earlier this year. at that stage, you've obviously made the decision to come back. But I was chatting to your sister Michaela a little bit earlier on, and she was saying actually before you came back to fight in that tournament, you had been, you were probably going to be a little bit ring rusty, as in you hadn't had much time in the ring before that.
Yeah, as I say, I was out for 14 months, and fortunate enough, I actually came back and I stopped my opponent, which was I wasn't expecting it, to be honest, because it's been out a long time. Like, you do get rusty, you're only human, and you're not a superhero, like you're human like everybody else. But I came back and I felt good, I felt fresh, my body was fresh, and I felt good. And then I obviously got into the next round and lost, but I performed well, and that gave me a bit of confidence to say that I can perform well on the international stage. And we just regrouped, came back, had a few fights here in Dublin, and then we flew out to Thailand, Bangkok, and plenty of sparring out there, great preparation, and then 6 fights in Thailand to qualify.
Yeah, and I suppose there's that element of trust as well with the IABA high performance unit as well, because I think Aidan Walsh would have been also in contention for it. You were ultimately selected, but I imagine how much of that was sort of based on the fact that they knew what you're capable of, given you had medalled at Olympics before.
Yeah, well, like everybody was given a chance to be assessed, and so it was obviously Team Ireland, the boxing team, go off an assessment process, and we had to get assessed and see who they felt fit to go to the Milan and then on to Thailand. So yeah, but like again, sport, it's sport. It's funny, like it's again, sometimes you need a bit of luck on your side, sometimes you like things go in your favour, and there's been many times that things didn't go in my favour, and losing the national championships and different things throughout my career. I was just very lucky and fortunate that I was able to be given the opportunity to go to the competitions and be able to compete for Ireland, which was a blessing.
Yeah, and when you were selected, obviously there was a little bit of noise from the Wexford branch of the IABA just in regards to Aidan Walsh. Obviously they did clarify that they have a huge admiration for you and everything else, but did you just block that out, or because it obviously made the news, it was in the papers, did you just block it out, or did you kind of even take in any of that?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm just here to box and do my best, and I just try to keep it that way. And yeah, I just keep my head down, do what I can do, and let the results and let all things take care of itself, because like as I say, a lot of things are out of my control, and that was something that was out of my control.
Yeah, and in terms of what is in your control is obviously how you go through Paris, and you've been there before in terms of Tokyo, in terms of knowing how you get your way through up to the the medal rounds. And what did you learn from Tokyo, I suppose, that good and bad, I suppose, that you can take into Paris?
Yeah, like the first Olympic cycle, it's always a funny one, isn't it, really? You learn a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about the Olympic experience, and a lot of the time it's quite different to what people tell you it is, because everybody's experience is different. Tokyo was that for me. It was an experience, and I think for everybody they experienced it in different ways, but it was a very good experience. It was very, 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 obviously COVID was about, and everybody realised that, so I think Paris will be a very good one in terms of different experience, different atmosphere, different momentum, and yeah, just about taking it all in.
Yeah, and just finally in the build-up, I suppose it's Germany first to Saarbrücken, and then it's not very far away now.
No, it's going fast, and I think a lot of people are just trying to soak it in and embrace it, and I know I certainly am, and just going forward is about just getting the preparation right, doing what you can do, and again, like I say, just control the controllables, control the performances, control how you train and prepare, and I think I'm doing that alright, and I think the whole Irish boxing team are.
Yeah, 100%. It's just been a great dream come true. I suppose it was a busy, hectic year with all the qualifying tournaments. The first one being this time last year at the European Games. I was one fight away from qualifying then. But I believe everything happens for a reason, so I've definitely learned from the 2 previous qualifying tournaments that I brought into the last one there. I think it's put me in a great position going into the Olympics. Yeah,
and what's even more remarkable, you've only been boxing for about 5 years, am I right?
Yeah, about 5 or 6 years now. I started taekwondo when I was about 4 or 5 years old, so I grew up with that, and I started competing internationally as a junior then for taekwondo about when I was 15 years old. Going to the likes of European and World Championships. It was only when I was 20, I think, my second year of college, that there was a break of competitions, so I decided to kind of go down to DCU Boxing Club just to kind of stay fit and pass the time a bit, when as I was the training for taekwondo I'd kind of ceased up a little bit, and yeah, I suppose took it from there, and here we are now.
Was there a world maybe, or maybe an ambition that if boxing hadn't happened, that maybe you'd be doing what Jack Woolley is doing in terms of representing Ireland and Olympics in Taekwondo?
Yeah, so the Taekwondo that I did was ITF Taekwondo, which isn't actually in the Olympics. So I suppose the biggest stage for me then would have been the Euros and then the World. So I suppose with the boxing, there's that step further of representing Ireland at the Olympics.
And in terms of, I suppose, the crossover, I mean, they're completely different sports, and obviously in terms of what you can and can't do in each of them, but is there anything you've taken from your time in ITF Taekwondo that has benefited you in terms of your boxing career?
Yeah, 100%. I suppose I learned how to be a competitor through Taekwondo, and I think I had already developed a kind of elite athlete approach to my sport through Taekwondo. Definitely there was transferable skills. I suppose even getting used to being hit through the Taekwondo was a big plus for the boxing. Definitely some skills probably didn't cross over as well. I suppose a different distance, because obviously you can kick in Taekwondo, you can't kick in boxing. But no, definitely I developed as an athlete through my Taekwondo, and then kind of specialised in the boxing then after that.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of sacrifice as well. Am I right? You worked as a teacher, and then you decided anyway you needed to focus on the boxing. You needed to essentially put the teaching to a side for a while at least. Yeah,
so I started boxing when I was in college studying primary school teaching. So I finished my degree, and in my first year out working, that was my first time I won the National Elite Championships. So after that I was invited up to the high performance unit for training. So I actually took a week off work then, which kind of met up with the midterm break, so I got the 2 weeks to train in the high performance unit. I tried to keep up working full time and then also trying to train full time, but it kind of just led to burnout, and I wasn't really developing as much as I would have liked, because obviously I was missing morning sessions because I was working. Then it was announced that minus 54 kg was going to be a new weight for the Olympics, and I said that's for me, and I kind of made a decision that after this first year out teaching, I'll put a pause on it for now and go full time with the boxing.
Yeah, and it's been well worth it, obviously, now that you're going to Paris. I suppose a final point, how are you plotting the path towards Paris and I suppose your opening fight? Yeah,
I suppose just coming out of the last qualifying tournament there in Bangkok just a few weeks ago, I'm using it as a trampoline effect. It's definitely, I'm still in kind of competition mode going into Paris. I'm still getting that itch to get back into the ring and go through the routine of fight day. I'm just trying to soak it up, and I can't wait to enjoy it all and do what I do.
All right, Dean Clancy, flying the flag for Ireland and the Northwest at Paris 2024, your debut games. Can you just take us back to the moment you qualified and just how much, or just how satisfied, and I suppose the joy that you had, that you have achieved a dream?
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Obviously, it was a childhood dream to qualify for the Olympic Games. To go and do it, it was definitely just a dream come true. It was a really surreal moment. I remember my hand being raised, and I couldn't believe it. Took a while to set in, but it's getting real now, and the Olympics are only less than a month away. So I'm looking forward to going out there and performing, taking one fight at a time, and getting a podium finish hopefully.
Yeah, and what was even more remarkable, because during that qualifier you'd had some bad news in terms of within your family, with losing your granddad. How did you manage to stay focused? I know your family were quite helpful in terms of kind of limiting the amount of information that you need to know and just allow you to sort of fight the fights that you needed to get to Paris.
Yeah, so I I had a good support system back home with my family and stuff. Mom, it was a difficult time, even just thinking back. It was a hard time, but at the same time I knew that my granddad would want me to stay focused and qualify and do the best I can, and then after I can grieve a bit more. But I just had to remind myself that he wanted me back there, and he wanted me to qualify, and he was my biggest fan then. So
yeah, and I suppose there's an element of when you're in Paris, you're doing things for yourself, for your family, for Sligo and North Leitrim, but also for people like your granddad as well.
Yeah, 100%. The support back home in Sligo and Leitrim has been phenomenal over the last since since any success I've got, but like once I qualified, like it's just been amazing. Like the support, I'm really grateful for it.
Yeah. I suppose in terms of your entry into boxing, it's yourself and your brother, wasn't it, together? The both of you started out together, and could you just talk us through those early journeys? I think there's an early fight in Foxford as well, and there's different adventures along the road.
Yeah, so I actually done kickboxing when I was 6 or 7. That's when my brother was doing it, and then brother went to boxing then, and I obviously just followed him, with him being my older brother. My dad was still is my coach. I always work him. He got me into the boxing. He seen a bit of potential in myself, and we just worked together and both followed our dreams. And he always believed to get to Olympic Games, and now here I am gearing up for my first Olympics. So really looking forward to it. You mentioned Foxford. I remember it was my first. It would have been my first. It was underage, but it was basically no winners. It was an exhibition. I remember it was 10, and like Dad was like, "Oh, go out there, and if you can stop him, like he'll give you 20 euro." And I remember I stopped him in the second round, like, and it was fun. It was a funny story back then, but yeah, I have great memories through me and my brother, even tearing each other up and sparring and stuff. And he's a bit bigger than me now, like, but yeah, it's good to have someone like that to push on.
It's not really your first Olympics though. If we count Youth Olympics as well, so you've had the experience of an Olympic village, at least in the Youth Olympics sense. So when you're going into Paris now, obviously it's on a bigger scale than anything you'll have seen before, but that at least, and some of the tournaments you've been in internationally, that should give you a bit of a, I suppose, guidance in terms of how you navigate the days in between your fights.
Definitely. Like going to Youth Olympics was that was a crazy experience as well. Like, that would have been my first taste of like a multi-team event. When I was there sharing rooms with like a kickboxer and a swimmer, and there was a golfer there as well. Like, and Nat was there as well, badminton. So it was great. Going out and seeing everyone there and different sports, seeing what they do, and we can all learn off each other. It was just a nice experience to have the whole village and camaraderie, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, and I understand just from a little bit of research about yourself and how you prepare, stoicism. Is that something that you practice? Can you just tell us what that is and how it helps you, and I suppose how you put that into practice?
Well, that's Marcus Aurelius there on my arm actually, but I suppose reading a few of his stuff, like, just about controlling the controllables and don't be worrying about what you can't control or what's out of your hands. I think that's a great thing to reflect on, especially for high performance athletes, that some things are going to be thrown like in your way that you can't control. So try not to put too much energy towards it and focus on what you can.
Yeah, and then when you go into Paris, I suppose, final question, what's the stepping stones you're going through as you go ahead? Do you think too far ahead? Obviously not, I would imagine. Is it just you're really focused on that first opening round, I guess, and then take it from there? Yeah,
going out there one round, one fight at a time. I do believe that putting in the hard work now, and that will show on the day. Just go out and perform, take it round by round, and progress throughout, and hopefully bring back a gold medal. And I suppose finally, do you visualise a bit? Do you have a picture in your head of where the end goal or what it looks like in Paris? Yeah, I'd love to box in the Roland Garros Stadium. Like, I remember it was the semi-finals or the quarter-finals, I think, there and there. But I remember we had a meeting with Gavin, it was like victory belongs to the most tenacious. I put that straight up on my Instagram. I was like, you can see myself boxing every class, 32,000 people, like, phenomenal. This is your first games. I suppose the emotion, the pride, as someone from Offaly, from Tullamore as well, what does it mean to you to be an Olympian and to have that beside your name now?
Yeah, it's something that I think once you achieve it, no one can ever take that from you. And I feel throughout my career I've had so many ups and downs, and sitting here now as an Olympian, I know I've earned it the hard way. So it's something that I'm really proud. And I'm not going to the Olympics just satisfied that I'm an Olympian. I've bigger fish to fry. So I'm just kind of wallowing in this whole experience now, and when we get there, I'll switch on and be ready to take what's next.
And it's been a long journey to get there as well. Obviously, to qualify, you had to go to Thailand for the final qualifier. Can you just talk us through that? I suppose the steps you had to take over in Bangkok, and I suppose just how challenging it was, and then while trying to keep that dream alive.
Yeah, I think when I was in Milan, that was my first major championship since 2019 because I had so many injuries and stuff. So I think trying to get myself back onto that major international stage as well. Probably I had some great performances in Milan, but that qualification fight probably took my eye off the ball a little bit and just got caught up in the moment. I suppose I'm human too, and a bit of an expensive price to pay, but yeah, looking back, I had to make adjustments from Milan, and then going to Bangkok, I was given the opportunity to go there and right those wrongs, I suppose, and I got over the line, thank God. But yeah, after all the setbacks and stuff, just that outburst of relief, I can't even describe what it feels like to just get over the line. And I feel like the pressure is almost off in a sense, and now I'm just, when you enjoy the whole experience, that's when your best performances come out. So I'm looking forward to the games.
And your background, you could have easily you could have been playing in the World Cup last year in terms of the Women's World Cup in football. I mean, there's forks in the road. Obviously, you played for Shamrock Rovers, am I right? Underage, and then also capped at Ireland for Ireland at under 17s as well. Was it a fork in the road thing in terms of football and boxing?
It definitely was. Yeah, my first dream when I was a kid was to be a professional soccer player and play with Arsenal and move abroad and all those kind of things. But I surprisingly found boxing and had new dreams then that I sort of had to try and put in place, and I got to that fork in the road, like you said. I was playing for Shamrock Rovers when I was 16, 17, 18, like 3 years, and got to the point where I was kind of progressing in neither boxing nor soccer and needed to make a decision because I was burning the candle at both ends. And I think just the individuality of boxing suited me more. Like, I was playing with Rovers and making a huge sacrifice to come up and down to training 4 days a week, and there was people that were living 5 minutes from the pitch that were, turning up hungover, and we were losing, and I just kind of started to get a bit frustrated with the whole thing. So I preferred the individuality of boxing, and whatever you put out, you'll get out. So
yeah, and even going back 3 years to during COVID as well. I think my colleague Eamon Horan was chatting to you around that time.
Yeah.
Were you training in your family shed? I think at the time, so the amount of dedication that takes as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had like those kind of home lockdown, gyms and stuff, and that was in its infancy at that point. It's actually progressed massively since then. So yeah, God, that's a serious throwback. But yeah, and looking back on the whole thing with Tokyo, I was never ready for the whole Tokyo thing, and I think like life has a weird way of showing you those things, and I would have never probably admitted that at the time, but comparing it to how ready I felt for these qualifiers and for this cycle alone, there was no comparison. And I think I'm a big believer that timing is everything, and that was never my time, but this is my time now.
And in terms of the village life as well, because that's something for those who did go to Tokyo, they didn't really get to experience it properly. You're going to get to experience that in Paris, and I understand you're quite the linguist as well. You speak Italian and German, am I right?
Yeah, German now. A bit of Italian, yeah. I studied both in college, but yeah, I think Italian has always been my first love, and we're actually meant to go to a camp in Italy next week, but it's been changed to Germany. So, but look, it's part and parcel. I love this life. I love getting to mix with different cultures and see different parts of the world. Although when you're in competition, you're not really seeing too much of the sightseeing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just the experience that we're getting to live. I'm aware as well that it's a short career, and I don't want to be 50 and looking back thinking I didn't soak that up as much. I wish I did, but yeah, I'm trying to just soak up every single experience that I'm having now.
I suppose finally on the actual competition side of it as well, I mean, lots of things don't change. It's a boxing ring. You've been through tournaments before, as you've said. There's something a bit different about an Olympics, and maybe that can get in some people's heads. Is it a thing of just kind of stepping away from that and just trying to focus on it? That there are basics there. It's still you still have one opponent. You're still in a ring, and outside of that, if you can block out the noise, maybe it's a bit easier. Yeah,
I think like from Milan, that's the big learning that I took away from it. Going into that qualification fight, I was focusing on all the outcome before I ever handled business in the process. So I think the same, although the magnitude of the Olympics is, skyrocketed, and even all this media and stuff, like we're not really used to doing that, but it's trying to just remember that the process is the same. Our preparation, I'm trying to just focus on good preparation. When we get to the games, then it's switching on. You hear who you have in the draw, what day you're on, what time you're on, what fight number you are, and then you just go through the same process. It's 3 rounds. Everything is the same. It's just the magnitude of everything. So just trying to keep those blinkers on. As well, another big thing for me is I come off social media, and I feel like that's really helped me with just keeping my feet on the ground and being in the here and now, because you can easily get swallowed up in that whole world, and especially with the magnitude of the Olympics, there'll be loads more media attention and loads more followers and all that, but if you're focusing on that, you're probably not focusing as much on what you're supposed to be. So that's just for me, my own personal experience. But yeah, I'll be using that and doing the same kind of thing going into any tournament as I will be for this.
Do you find, you just mentioned social media there, do you find it a little bit toxic nowadays, or has it changed even in terms of, like, say, pre-COVID, maybe the experience of being on whichever platform it is a bit different than what it is now?
Fortunately, I've not had too many toxic, things to endure. I've had a few bits and bobs, and you'll always have people, negative people and stuff. But like I said, I just limit my exposure. Now it's great as well. There's so many people wishing me well, and it's lovely to read about how brilliant you are and all those kind of things. But I got caught in those things before and learned I had pretty heavy prices to pay for getting sucked into that whole world. So for me, my old coach Dima used to always say to me, focus on what you need to focus on and achieve what you're set out to achieve, your medals, and they'll do the talking for you. So I used to think it was whoever shouted the loudest got the most. But that's definitely not the case. If you work away in silence and produce the goods, everyone will fall in line.
Yeah, I suppose finally, as you told my colleague Siobhan Madigan there earlier, I suppose in terms of the Offaly connection and those in and around Tullamore, I mean, Shane Lowry's a family friend as well, who he'd know quite well. There's quite a clutchy over in Paris once the games start.
Definitely, yeah, and it's not like Tullamore is the big place, or like Shane's just outside Tullamore in Clara, but it's just mad to think that such a small place in the country, even Ireland is such a small place, and to think that we have 10 qualified boxers, a full women's team qualified, the only country in Europe to have a full women's team qualified. They don't call us the Fighting Irish for nothing, but yeah, to experience the games with a couple of other people from Offaly and to all be flying the flag for the faithful county, it's not too bad.
Well, best luck in Paris, Grainne.
Thank you very much, thanks.